Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Science and Sorcery. I'm just double checking everything's working. We're all set. We're all good. Hello, my name is Sam Langford. My pronouns are he, him. I will be your guide this evening for our game of Wanderhome in collaboration with the Museum of Homelessness, a community-driven social justice museum in Finsbury Park in London, who we're also raising money for this evening. So if you're here in the chat and you see the link that I've just posted and you have some coins to spare, please do go ahead and donate towards that fundraising link. We will be giving away a lovely copy of Afterglow, which is a game by Fistful of Crits, to one lucky donor as part of tonight's giveaway. Before we jump into the game, I'm going to go round my cast and get them to say hello, who they are and what they do. I'm going to come to my fellow Science and Sorcery team member first of all. Khalil, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name is Khalil Thurlaway, pronouns he, him. I am a player and sometimes DM on Science and Sorcery. I'm a science communicator. I'm an escaped immunologist. But I'm really looking forward to telling this story today with all these wonderful people and hopefully raising some money for an incredible museum.
Thank you. And Kat, we'll come to you next.
I knew you'd do me next. Hey everyone, I'm Kat. I am known on the internet as the Law Mistress, and I use she/they pronouns. I am a actual play performer, often forever GM. So it's really refreshing to be playing today. And I also write and design tabletop role-playing games. And I'm very excited and very grateful that I was invited to be here today.
Taya, we'll come to you next.
Hi everyone, I'm Taya, my pronouns are she, her. I'm an actor and actual play performer, best known for being one quarter of Damsels in Distress. I'm probably best known for crying on that show, and I just have a feeling that Sam's going to make me cry here as well tonight. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this is my first time playing Wanderhome as well, so I'm like extra excited.
And finally, last but not least, James.
Hi, I'm James. My pronouns are he, him. My background is in science, but then a few years ago moved into sort of working into sort of the homelessness sector, particularly sort of data analysis around that. And I volunteer for the Museum of Homelessness. It's my first time playing Wanderhome as well. I'm really looking forward to it, and yeah, I think it will be a moving experience all round.
Thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. It is a delight to have you all here with us for this game. Before we jump into the game, this is Wanderhome, which is a game by J Dragon of Possum Creek Games. This is a game in which usually there isn't the need for a facilitator or a guide. You can have one. And like Taya saying thinks that Sam's going to make them cry. I have no plans for this game because we're all going to collaboratively build the game and the story as we go through. You're going to see a lot of us building connections between characters. We're going to talk about the locations we're going to, why we're going there, and what we want to get out of this game that we're playing tonight. We will be running no later than 10 p.m. UK time. There'll be a break halfway through. And also I want to just give some content warnings for the game as we're talking through. This is a game that's taking place in the kind of winter time in the Heath, which is where Wanderhome is set. So we will be talking about coldness, the lack of warmth, having a home. There may be character death described from the past. None of our characters this evening are going to die. So those topics may come up. There may be some traumatic past background things that come up as we go through. We are talking about homelessness and finding your place in the world. This is an incredibly important subject and topic for us to be exploring, and here at Science and Sorcery is something we really feel privileged to be able to have this conversation and bring it into the games that we're playing. So just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to the Museum of Homelessness for being so excited and kind to allow us to run this game in collaboration with him. We hope that we do it justice for the story that we're about to tell. Wanderhome is a fantastic little game, but Khalil, was there something else you wanted to say?
I just wanted to add on one line to the end of what you're saying, Sam, and that's that we here on the channel and on this show have put quite a lot of effort into looking out for each other and ourselves. So that means that you at home, please give some thought and time to looking after yourself as well.
100%. Hello, RP Geeks. RP Geeks are in the chat. The music is so calming. Yeah, it's calming, but it's also a little sad. My players can't hear it unless they've got Twitch open. A little bit of melancholy piano. So, the way that we need to start this game is to think about where you're all coming from, who you all are, and how you all know each other. We're going to start with introductions as to who you all are individually, and then on your playbooks you'll have some relationship-based questions that you'll get to ask of other characters. You get to choose who you want to ask those of. If it says you choose to the person to your left, we're going to do that person that is kind of anti-clockwise on the screen. So if it was Kat, you would ask Khalil, you would ask James, you would ask Taya, and then if it's to your right, we'll do it the opposite way around. Sound all good? Perfect. You won't ask me any questions because I play everyone else who might appear, and you also get the chance to play other characters as well. If you want to decide that someone else appears in that moment, I may get you to play that character. Oh, hey, it's Gina is in the chat, who loves the sad game. Welcome on in. The perfect place. Stay here and cry with us, Gina. Can I start with anyone who would like to tell us who their character is and the playbook that character has? If anyone wants to go first, otherwise I'll pick someone.
I don't mind going first.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm going to be playing Max, and Max is a polecat, so a kind of mustelid creature, a bit like a kind of weasel, ermine, that kind of thing. Long, scampery boy with sharp teeth at the front. Pronouns he, him. And the playbook I'm using is the Ragamuffin. So I am a young, somewhat inexperienced in the world, but still having had life experiences that have shaped him. Do you want to know my appearance or anything like that?
Yeah, what do you look like in this moment?
So you can see from my wonderful portrait that Alex has really excelled themselves on the art for these characters. I'm dark fur with a white face, but a little kind of bandit mask of dark fur. And I'm wearing kind of grass-stained faded jeans that may once have been blue, but are now just mostly kind of that pale tan color, but covered in just mud stains, grass stains, maybe the occasional blood stain, but just like, from a rough and tumble young person's life. And I want you to grant me a little bit of artistic license here. I don't care how his braces are staying up, but over his tiny little shoulders that barely stick out from his long body, he's got big long braces that are keeping those jeans on his long wiggly body as he kind of scurries around about his business.
We can all use our imaginations. I guess we'll just go in the same order again. Kat, can you tell us about Phoebe?
All right, Phoebe. So today I am playing Phoebe, who uses she, her pronouns. It is the Firelight playbook, which is a really, really lovely one. So Phoebe is a fennec fox. I have to agree the art is absolutely outstanding. So she's quite a smaller frame, but she has these very large, pale ears that kind of stick out, and they're constantly twitching, as is her nose. I would describe Phoebe as twitchy most of the time. She wears a dress. It is a sort of like a strappy dark blue kind of bordering on navy, but it's incredibly faded, very ripped, and it's kind of like got a handkerchief effect down at the bottom, and I would say that mostly what you would know about Phoebe is less about the clothes she wears and more about the things that she constantly has on her. She has sort of like a small pouch that seems to be filled with any and all medical supplies that you could possibly need, even things that you would just not expect her to have on her. She has a very battered sort of violin case, but the instrument inside is pristine and beautifully well looked after. And her eyes are very notable because they reflect the light very well. So she almost kind of always looks like her eyes are shining.
Taya, we'll come to you next.
So today I'm going to be playing Mavis, and the playbook that I'll be playing is the Moth Tender. So Mavis's job is to look after the moths who deliver the post around the land of the heath. And she is, as I agree, incredibly beautiful, amazing art shows, a small, light, pale brown rabbit. She's very round and fluffy. I think her fur is really quite soft and lush, even though it might be a little bit matted now and a little bit tangled. You can tell it wants to be really full and fluffy. And she's got sort of white patches here and there, and big dark eyes, and a little twitchy pink nose. But generally she's quite soft looking, and she's wearing a worn brown dress. It's got kind of a plaid pattern to it. It's good material, but very clearly old and now getting a little bit worn through. And like Phoebe, she also has some quite notable things that she carries on her person. So she's got a big old leather satchel that again is very finely made, but a bit old and scratched up the way old leather gets. And it's just bursting with different parcels and packages and things that she's overseeing to deliver. And she also carries a sort of scratched up bronze type metal lantern, which she uses to help guide the moths.
Loving all these characters so far. Finally, James, tell us about Lionel, our teacher.
Thanks. Yeah, so Lionel uses the pronouns he, him. Once again, the artwork's fantastic. Lionel is an older hedgehog. In human years, you might think he's sort of around mid-50s. He's got a few grey quills here and there. And some of the obvious things he has about him. He's got he wears a long coat, a long grey coat. He's a little bit tired, a little bit worn. And he also wears a scarf as well, a very long, thick scarf, which, unlike his coat, is surprisingly good condition. He's clearly had it a while, but it's been lovely mended and repaired. It clearly means a lot to him. He also, something that's quite clear when you look at him is he's a little bit frail. He carries a cane. One of that cane. What's something striking about it is that he's got carvings and bits of tape all around it, and they seem deliberate. It's not been mended. It's been done in a deliberate way to mean something, and you don't know what it is, but he does. But that's and he has a bit of a limp, but yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about any of the kind of connections that people have between our characters, does anyone have an initial question about someone else's character they would want to ask? If not, we can move to our playbooks.
I would actually like to ask a question.
Go for it.
How good is Phoebe at playing the violin?
Phoebe is very talented at the violin. Yeah, mostly surprisingly so, I think, to most people that meet
And would you say that that is something that Max enjoys and would like to hear more of?
Yes, but I don't think he always stays for the whole song. I don't think Max's attention span is his strong suit.
What a mood.
It's like, oh, that's nice. Oh my god, what's that?
Okay, so in this game there are different playbooks that you've already mentioned, and there are things that your characters can always do. You all have a list of those, and there are things that you can do to collect tokens, and the tokens can be spent to help other people in moments of strife and stress. We're not going to go through the list, but you all have those, so the audience know that you have that available to you. I would like us to think about our playbooks now, and then any connecting character questions that we have there. We're going to start, we'll come to Max first, we'll do the same way round. Max is the ragamuffin. So the questions you have, what are they?
So, I'm going to ask one question to the right, which would be clockwise, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask, how does Lionel feel about the fact that I've decided that you're a new parent figure?
He feels a bit like it reminds him of when he was started wandering for the first time quite a while ago, maybe sort of 20 to 30 years ago. And it reminds him of how someone took him under his wing. So it actually gives him a bit of nostalgia. And he's kind of excited in a way that he gets to share the knowledge that he's got with you.
That's really lovely. Ooh, I'm stuck between two questions for Phoebe. I'll give you a choice between two. So either, what do I do that really, truly next level gets on your nerves?
Okay.
Or, what went wrong the last time I dragged you along on a misadventure?
Both excellent questions. I think I feel like probably the answer to both those questions is almost the same answer, but
I
I'll
was
phrase
thinking the
it
same thing.
as the answer to the first question. I think Phoebe has a lot of affection for Max's energy. Phoebe is a much more reserved person. She tends to hold back. She tends to listen and observe rather than engage. And she does appreciate that about Max. However, she does really get quite frustrated by the lack of attention span at times, because I think she feels that Max misses out on things by trying to experience everything. And she wishes that Max would take a moment to breathe and slow down and really absorb a moment and an experience that Max might not ever get again, especially at such a young age. So I think that is the thing. It's less frustration, just more sadness.
I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Just disappointed, yeah. Disappointed. And I think that Phoebe takes things from moments and then will ask Max about them later, and Max can barely remember what's happened, and it just sort of, she wishes she could share more of that that feeling with Max. So
Both of those
Lovely.
are beautiful answers. Thank you.
Anything you want to clarify, Max?
Is Lionel teaching me stuff? As in, like, not just kind of about wandering, but kind of academically?
Yeah, so he's he's got a couple of special topics which he likes to share with everyone. He's picked up a lot on his journey, and like lots of different subjects, lots of different things. But he specialises in he specialises in a few bits which I'll get onto later. But he's got a couple of key subjects.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on.
Lovely. Kat, Phoebe's questions, please.
All right. So this one is for Max then, if it's going to be the person clockwise. Where do you wish I could guide you, and why can't I? Deep question coming.
Maybe I wish that you could guide me to a kind of a mental place where I can sit with things, because I see you enjoying it, but I just don't get it. And I don't know whether it's age or neurodivergence, but Max can't quite get his head to stick on things the way that Phoebe can, and the way that Phoebe, both Max and Phoebe, wished that she could teach him.
All right. And my question for Mavis, something very important that I missed out in my character description. Phoebe has a friend who is a firefly. I picture said firefly to be about the length of the sort of point to point where Phoebe's ears sit, so that said firefly can kind of rest in that area, in that space when sleeping. Her name is Indra. She's sort of like this glowing and glows in these kind of like incandescent colors, and the shell is also very incandescent and almost seems to kind of like spark at points. Why does Indra, my firefly, like you so much, Mavis?
I think Indra has taken like a special shine to Mavis as a creature of light, and Mavis is obviously a small earthy mammal, but so much about her identity and who she is has become about light, and I think the sort of caring hand that Mavis has in looking after the moths and leading them has maybe translated to other like bug creatures, and I think Indra can tell that Mavis sort of treats and sees these insects the way that she does all her other peers, and sort of regards Indra as an equal member of the party.
Great answer.
I'm obsessed with Indra now.
Yeah. Just casually leaving out most of my playbook in my initial description there.
Tia. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was going to ask if I could clarify something actually with Kat. I feel like the answer I gave, I think, overlaps a bit, quite a lot with, the answer that you gave to my question, and I feel like that's a wasted opportunity. So I feel like, I don't know, what if I wish that you could lead me to a new home, and you can't, because as a firelight, I know maybe part of your kind of lot in life is to wander.
I do definitely think that Phoebe has resigned herself to that. She is the kind of, she definitely feels that she can barely find the strength to find a home for herself, let alone have the responsibility of finding a home for Max, I think. I see her as perhaps a wise member of the group, in similar vein to Lionel, but not, she does not view herself in a way that she considers herself a teacher, a responsible person, someone that could do that. So yeah, I could definitely see that if Max would want Phoebe to take her to a home, Phoebe would not feel like she was up to the task of that at all.
Cool. I think that adds just a little bit more variety to us.
And Mavis, your questions.
All right. So my first question, if we're going around, will be to Phoebe. And I want to ask, do you think the moths are as beautiful as I do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like if there's a lot of connection in terms of, I mean, I feel like there would be a good connection between Mavis and Phoebe because Indra, her firefly, trusts Mavis so much. And Phoebe knows that in the way that these bugs are, sometimes they might not be bugs, they might be something more, they might be something special. She believes a lot in fate and destiny, and she considers, just as she considers Indra to be a very special bug indeed, she considers these moths with their very special purpose to be something far more than just what most people would see, I think.
Yeah, I like that there's like this mutual connection to the bugs and the insects between them.
I don't think she thinks of them as the moths even. I think she has them like named. She knows them all by wing pattern. She knows them all as individuals. Yeah.
Lovely. And then my question to Lionel is going to be, why did I risk my job and my career to help you?
Good question. I think it's just kindness. I think you can see that Lionel has a kind heart. You can see from your traveling, like from your you've been traveling around the heath for a while, with your like delivering things here and there, and you know a kind person when you see one, and you know that you know when someone might need help but doesn't necessarily show it, like they don't ask for it, but you know that actually, I think you could teach me a lot. Like you think I could teach you a lot, but then also
Lovely. Any clarifying points anyone wants to raise?
I think that's all good with me.
Lionel, in that case, it's time for your questions.
Okay. I will ask Khalil first. I'll ask Max. What have you shown me about the world?
I would say that Lionel has been wandering for a while, and I think can sometimes feel like he's seen it all, and maybe can get a little bit not jaded but inured to some of the marvels of life. And I think seeing someone experience the world through very fresh eyes and nose and ears and pores and everything, I think maybe reminds Lionel sometimes of the wonder of the world and the kind of the joy of novelty.
That's lovely. Thank you. Yeah. And he'll also ask Mavis. What do you know that I can't hope to understand?
I think from what I can tell, Lionel is somebody who's very academic and has studied the world from books and has he knows like how to compartmentalize things into subjects. And Mavis is somebody who has devoted her life to delivering really personal things between people, and she might not necessarily be the most academic. She might not, understand all the big words that Lionel uses, but I think something that she understands is how that kind of like messy, uncertain, like personhood of care, like between people, has its own kind of like intelligence in a way, and like how people can come to understand each other through like small, like messy acts of understanding. I think Mavis sees the world in kind of a very unacademic way, and there's something really beautiful in that.
Okay. We have 4 characters and connections between them all. They are all so good, so nice. Thank you all so much for doing that. So what we need to do now is to create our first place, which is where you'll arrive. And to create that place, we choose 3 natures, and we'll arrive in one of those natures. I guess, like, where do we think we want to start? Where would we want to end up? You can have comfortable natures, which can include things like a farm or a monastery or a workshop. You can have verdant natures like fields and glens, a lagoon. Liminal natures like a bridge, a road, a port, a tavern. A sprawling nature, which could be a metropolis, a palace, a carnival. A lonely nature, a cave, a graveyard, a moor. And finally, the desolate natures, which are deserts or mountains or ruins. Any of those stick out as ones you would want to definitely include?
I like the idea of a liminal nature. I think that that gives a lot of possibility for cool storytelling. So what if it was a liminal nature, like, I don't know, we are coming down a wooded hill through the woods, but at the near the bottom of the hill, we can see the tree line.
Okay.
That's nice.
In that case, then, we'll say that if you're coming down the hill, that it's a road that you're traveling at this point then. Which means that I'll take some notes from this. We need to choose 2 aesthetic elements, which would be cairns along the path, litter in the gutters, a lively waterway, a friendly caravan, an old relaxed comrade heading in a different direction, or something else that you invent. We choose 2 of those.
I like the idea of a waterway, like maybe there's like a stream, like a sort of like rushing down, especially if we're going down towards like down a hill that's wooded. Maybe it's rushing the same way that we're going. Yeah,
that would fit with my backstory. I didn't want to jump in because I'd already said something, but yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea of perhaps a juxtaposition of a very sort of like lively, energetic waterway and like cairns along the path, which kind of give a sort of like more melancholy feel to this area, and perhaps something a bit more ancient and still.
Awesome. I like it. Okay, so that's our 2 aesthetic elements, and we need to choose 1 folklore about this place. And the folklore you can choose from: the day the hound dog met his double, the possum made of mist, the pact of the crossroads shrine, or something else of your own invention.
I quite like the mist. That's what
the possum made mist.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, maybe that's a mythology of like there is a kind of a spirit of this place that is a possum person, and they are made of mist. So whenever it's misty, like that's when kind of you might see out of the corner of your eye, you might see a possum hanging from a tree by its tail.
my mind of thinking with the road going down the hill, and it's almost quite steep, it points away. So is that a point where it's a junction, and
Yes.
you know it just gives you so it's the guiding. You know, it knows where you want to go even if you don't.
Now that might be the version that Lionel has heard, but perhaps Phoebe has heard a version where it points in a direction that could lead to trouble or lead to danger. She's heard it's something of a mischievous spirit that might try to lead you off the path and into trouble.
And maybe the interaction you have with that spirit depends partly on what you go into that interaction feeling and thinking.
Yeah, that adds up.
Okay. We have our first nature, which is a liminal nature. We need 2 more. So it seems that we'll probably start on the road. But did anyone else have any preferences on, say, a comfortable nature, something verdant, something sprawling, something lonely?
I like the idea of eventually going towards a village or a town of some kind. Not necessarily that big, but
But what if we pass through somewhere lonely on the way to somewhere comfortable?
Okay.
Yeah, comfortable feels like the destination, like where the next sort of stop point that we're trying to get to.
I would agree.
So lonely, the choices would be between a cave, a graveyard, a mirage, a mirror, a moor, and a wilderness.
Ooh.
We could also roll a d6.
I like either like a moor or a graveyard, maybe, just for...
Those were the 2 that jumped to my mind as well, especially with our mist spirit as well.
Yeah, and the cairns, the graveyard sort of feels like an extension of those if we're sort of heading towards them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds then like we can go from a graveyard, which will be this lonely nature, and then into something more comfortable, like James was alluding to, about a smaller place that's not too busy. What about a market? We end, that would be the kind of final destination on the route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, graveyard then.
So that maybe that fits with if
Sorry, what were you saying, James?
Oh, it cut off a little bit.
Oh no, I was thinking I was metagaming with other characters in mind.
This is not a game that you need to stress too much about metagaming. We're not playing Shadowrun.
No, I was thinking with in terms of Mavis and being sort of having deliveries and what have you. It could be that's where you're either delivering something to or picking something up from, or is why you're on the.
I think
as an idea.
Absolutely. I think sort of everywhere Mavis goes, I think Mavis has just so many packages and letters in her little satchel, and she's always on the lookout. But it might be that one of her parcels she knows is set to be delivered at this place.
Absolutely.
Okay. So for the graveyard, there are 2 aesthetic elements that we need to decide. Those would be more cairns scattered, melted candles, gravestones, mysterious lights, a deep and profound silence, or an old forgotten friend, now deceased.
Last one's sad.
I'm thinking old forgotten friend.
Okay. Yep.
That leaves a really good opportunity for someone.
Yeah.
It makes sense that there would be more cairns, but that kind of seems like the obvious one. So
That seems like obvious.
can we have that one as a gimme and pick another?
Yeah, let's do that. The others that would be left then would be mysterious lights, a deep and profound silence, melted candles.
I feel like a deep and profound silence. If we're going to go into a marketplace after, feel like it would be good to
I was
have like
thinking the same thing.
the stillness.
Yeah.
And the contrast from the kind of babbling brook we're walking beside as well.
Agreed.
So there are things that this graveyard can always do, which is describe the weight of the past, show someone disrespecting the history of this place, and ask, will you tell us a story no one else could tell? And if you do that, you'll get a token. So that remains just one more nature to create. We're really building a really nice world within this game. And we're a third of the way to our modest target. Thank you, folks, for those who've donated. So, comfortable nature. I mean, we're going to go with a market. That would be... A market is a place where near anything can be traded and bartered, and where people from across the heath gather with supplies to exchange. And this place can always describe what you can find here, reveal the consequences of theft, and offer something they want at an affordable price. And if you refuse the offer, you'll get a token. But there are two aesthetic elements that we can choose from here, which are show-stopping livestock, foreign wares, confusing currencies, antique relics, distant smells, a familiar crafty merchant, or something else.
I think there's got to be a smell.
Okay, so we'll say distant smells then, if everyone's happy with that. One more.
I like antique relics.
That was what my first instinct was as well. Especially as we're moving through a place that is obviously steeped in history.
Okay.
Ooh, maybe some of those antique relics might have come from the graveyard.
Lara Croft has been through.
Right, some... Yeah.
And there's one last thing. We need to choose one folklore about this marketplace. And these can be between the eel demon and the lootist, the crow and the 33 thieves, or the golden king and how he lost his heart.
What's jumping to my mind is the crow and the 33 thieves, especially given what was just said about the provenance of some of these antiques.
Okay, amazing. Right, we have our place. Our three natures, which are a road, a graveyard, and a market. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, questions for you all. Where have you just come from? You're traveling together, but where have you come from?
I feel like I feel like we've been on the road for a while. If we're hopefully heading to somewhere comfortable that we can maybe find some good food and some warmth, I feel like we've come from a lot of walking, but that's just my thought.
I think that makes sense. I think it makes sense that we've come from somewhere maybe more like wild and rugged, and we're sort of now moving back through into like an area of civilization.
Yeah.
I would say that that's the reason why Max's jeans are so dirty, but I feel like as soon as they're clean and he puts them on, within a couple of minutes they're dirty.
Yeah. That's what Max tells us anyway.
They were like this when I found them.
Anything to add to that, James?
No, I think that's
awesome. Do you feel that your journey has been a long journey?
Yes.
in this overall, or just this leg where we're together?
You can decide that for yourself. That can be how you feel that as a group or for you personally.
I don't think Max's journey has been particularly long. I think maybe the group picked up Max relatively recently, and him being otherwise alone has bonded quite quickly with the group.
Okay, anything to add from anyone else?
Just that Phoebe would, without even a moment's hesitation, say yes. Hers has been an incredibly long journey.
Yeah, I think Mavis has been wondering for a long time too, but she's sort of almost stopped seeing it as a wondering, and it's just like the state she exists in now. So I don't know whether or not she sees the journey with the rest of you as being particularly long, like in comparison. But I think for herself, she's just in like the state of, like nomadic, like travel.
And the second to last question would be, is there somewhere we hope to go? But you've kind of said about where you're aiming for at this point. So a final question for you all before we arrive with us all in a scene is for you to think silently to yourself, you don't need to say this, where is your home? And you don't need to share. You keep that to yourself. And so we'll open with 4 characters wandering down a path. And I have some extra things to share about this place. And then you can also add in what's going on. It is snow blanket time. It's one of the calmer months of chill. The snows are heavy and the air becomes so quiet at night that you feel like you can hear the whispers of the world itself. This place has snow up to your waist. It has the light of a white sun and an unbearably bitter cold. What are you all doing?
Max is traveling through the snow the way a dolphin would. So he's kind of like scampering along, like on all fours through the deep snow, and then occasionally kind of just popping up in a shower of snowflakes, and then diving back down. In this process, he is filling his jeans with cold snow, which is melting next to his body, and then refreezing as ice in his fur. So when he stops moving, he's going to get very cold. But for now, he's having a wonderful time.
I think Phoebe is in almost direct contrast, hanging back. She has kind of Indra just sort of like hovering a few feet ahead, kind of like burning this with this light so that she can kind of follow it. But she's very carefully picking her way through the snow, and she's kind of holding her exceptionally battered violin case like a child, in the hopes of just preserving, like she's like, if I go down, I want to hug it to me and make sure that this thing does not get in any way damaged. So she's not probably paying much attention to the group around her. She's got all of her focus on trying not to slip over in the snow at this point, grumbling to herself.
I think Mavis is kind of following after Max, and she's sort of taken a leaf out of his book, but in a much more practical way, because she's a burrowing animal. So I think what she's trying to do is clear a way for Lionel to get through, because he might be having a bit of a harder time with his cane. So she's just kind of catching her breath, and then she like burrows back down, clears a little bit of a path, then pops back up, like dusts the frost off, and comes back, makes sure her moths are okay, looks back, makes sure Lionel and Phoebe are following, sort of has a look out, make sure, yeah, that Max has just popped up in front. That's fine. And then she'll go back and burrow a little bit more.
Yeah, Lionel's really is glad that Mavis is sort of helping along. He's putting his cane forward gradually, trying to sort of measure, work out the depth of the stone in front, trying to avoid any icy patches. He's got his scarf wrapped around him for warmth, but he's being colder. He's alright. But he still finds it hard going. But
as you all
slowly but steadily making his way along.
Amazing. As you're walking along this path with these cairns alongside it, we've got the lively waterway, but it is winter in this world anyway. But that doesn't stop the world having a lively waterway. You see that there are it's fairly frozen over, except for like a little trickle within the middle of the ice, where the warmth has managed to still push up from the bottom of the waterbed. But next to the edge, what you notice, because it's hard to miss them, is just two figures who are fishing. Two kingfishers. Two bright blue birds that are sitting with rods fishing. One of them will turn to the other and go, "There's not been a bite all day. What's going on? I'm starving. Have you feel anything on the hook?" And we'll turn and say, "No, nothing with me. Shall I check? Shall I dive in and have a look?" No, probably not. Probably don't dive into the water. And we'll look and see Max dolphining through the snow. Oh, hi, little one.
I pop my head up, kind of like emerging from the ground like that.
Oh, what are you doing? Hello.
Well, we're fishing. Not very well, but we're fishing. Trying to just grab a bite to eat. Have you ever been fishing before?
No, I don't really like the water that much.
Oh. Well, if you come sit here near the edge, it's safe, I promise.
I'm not going to fall in?
No, if you stay here, like, next to the edge, you'll be absolutely fine.
All right.
I feel like the moment that Phoebe clocked that Max is talking to strangers, Phoebe grumbles again under her breath and then begins to diverge from the path and make her way towards where the kingfishers are.
Oh, hello. Is this your mother?
No.
Well, we're just saying to the young one, we're unsuccessfully fishing, trying to fill our bellies. Where are you headed?
Well, we've just found the road, so we're following it, I suppose. Do you have any idea where it leads to?
There's a fantastic market not too far down, but, well, not too far, but in this snow it will take a little bit of time.
Yes. It's quite deep, isn't it? I don't suppose that you're having trouble fishing because it's so cold. Do you think the fish perhaps are not quite so enthusiastic in the winter months?
Well, they tend to quieten down, but it seems to be particularly difficult this year. Yeah, and everything we get is a little bit smaller than it was the last time.
Well, and I think she kind of like looks back to see where the others are, because social situations are never Phoebe's forte. So at some point we're going to hit small talk. And I think like we're getting.
I think as you look round, you see Mavis like pop out of the snow after burrowing, and then realise that you two aren't where I last saw you, and you see a moment of. And then I think she clocks you, and it sort of gives you like a confused look.
And while this,
she just points at Max. She just points at Max.
so while this interaction is going on, Max has kind of overcome that initial trepidation of the water, but it's still a little bit wary, but consciously overcoming it. And I think is like on his belly, all four like limbs spread out on the edge of the ice, kind of trying to dip his face down towards the cold water to kind of have a look and see if there's any fish down there, see what the fishing is all about. But like as soon as I get a little bit of cold water on my nose, like,
It is cold water. Don't get yourself too close to it. Like, stay here.
Yeah, come back from the edge, please, Max.
I just had to try.
At this
I think at this point I'll turn to Lionel and sort of motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a slight
he's-
delay.
Sorry, I might be making action. Lionel at this point, sort of, he finally makes his way over to where Max is and the kingfishers, and he asks them politely, are you doing a bit of fishing? Just tell me, what do you put on your rods to fish? What bait do you use?
Well, it's at this time of year, it tends to just be bread. We don't really have any live bait, which, it does make it more difficult, but old stale bread. Do you have anything that you would recommend instead?
Sometimes I feel that this time of year, because it's so cold, they like something a bit sweet as well. That could give them a bit more energy to help to get them going. I have some old battered fruit, or I have something in my bag. My was actually in a bag in my pockets. I kind of rummage around through there, and I give them these. Yeah, something like they're almost like dried plums or something from the autumn that I've kept. I give one to I give one to Matt. I give one to the kingfishers.
Oh,
for them to try.
very, very kind of you, friend. We'll try. Reels back in, slices up into like smaller chunks, places onto the hook, and we'll launch it into the water. Please do take a token for inconveniencing yourself to help someone. You're giving away some food.
Yeah.
Well, where are you all headed? We don't see too many people on the road in this level of snow, especially with a child in tow.
Well, like I said, it's we've just been traveling. We're traveling through the wilderness, and we found the road, so we're kind of following it. You mentioned a market.
Yeah, further down the road. No, you seem a little standoffish, my friend. I promise we're not just making small talk.
Oh no, I don't mean to offend.
She doesn't mean to be.
And I'm confused. You're headed towards the market, okay? And your friend here with you're a moth tender. Huh.
Yes, I was hoping that perhaps some of the folk that I'm supposed to be leading further down. It's been the wilderness for us, which is why, as I'm sure you'll have to forgive our friend, we've not really spoken to anyone else but us in quite a long time.
Oh, no problem, my friend. Tia, do you want to just refresh your page in? Your connection's a little bit in and out just to make sure
Yeah.
we got you. And then we'll look at Max and be like, so you seem like you're in charge.
Oh yeah, I've got all the best ideas.
And what is your idea right now?
Follow these two. And I point at Phoebe and Lionel. Oh, and her. And with my other leg, I try and point at Mavis and kind of wobble a bit.
Thank you.
Everything got kind of turned upside down kind of recently, so just trying to make my way. Found some nice people. Every day's its own new day.
That's a very important thing to always remember. Don't ever forget it. Have you heard of... Now, some people have heard this story and not others, and others have never. And some people get the correct version, and some people have other ideas of what's actually going on, but...
Well, I know all the best stories.
Oh, well. Maybe I won't tell you this one then, because it'll be... Maybe that'll just be anticlimactic.
Oh, no. Come on. Story, please?
Well, when we get to this time of year when snow blanket's at its strongest, some people say that they see a possum. But not any old regular possum. A possum made completely out of mist, hanging from trees. A kind soul.
They're nice.
I mean, if you're nice, they're nice.
I'm the nicest.
Then they'll be the nicest back.
How do we meet this possum? I mean, it's cold now.
Perhaps if you're really nice today.
I'm gonna be the nicest. Do you want half a dried plum?
No, I have plenty. We'll hold up another half of a dried plum. You keep that for yourself. But the offer was very kind. How's Phoebe reacting to hearing this story?
So I think that Phoebe has been kind of labeled as a little bit standoffish, and she's sort of written them off at this point. She's decided that they've made their mind up about her, so she kind of is leaned against the tree. She's listening to the story. She kind of pulls from her pocket like a packet of smokes and begins to light one. And then when they start talking about this possum, she laughs because she has heard this story before, and she's heard a slightly different version of it, and it's definitely the less friendly and perhaps a little spookier. And so she's just kind of laughing to herself. But when they say, "Oh, it's only nice if you're nice," she kind of like goes, I'm not gonna get them labeling me as not a nice person anymore. So she's kind of listening, and she's excited for Max. He's very excited by the story, and she doesn't want to ruin it for him. So, but I think she would sort of say, just remember though, strangers can be dangerous, so just be wary.
As you say that, something passes along the road. What passes along the road? Anyone can describe this at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say me or anyone can.
I feel like I've talked a lot already.
Yeah, same. Well, if no one else has any ideas, I was thinking maybe someone could be kind of almost like running from the opposite direction, which is strange because it's so snowy and the snow is so thick, it's so difficult.
They're running uphill.
And they're running up the hill. They seem very out of breath, and I think that they keep looking behind them almost nervously, and I think they're kind of like just holding very tightly to some small like sort of sack that they've got, but they're kind of, they pass us and they don't even really give us much of a glance. I think that they're just...
I lean over to Lionel and I say, maybe they weren't very kind to the possum.
Possible.
Maybe he ponders, he thinks about this carefully. Seeing they've got the bag, seeing he's carrying the sack of something. Maybe someone's been stolen. Maybe they've stolen something and they're running away from it. Maybe they're maybe someone's hurt or something further down the hill. He wants to kind of he wants to continue down and make sure that no one is actually, make sure everyone's okay. But
yeah, Max's attention has been fully dragged away from this conversation with the kingfishers, and is now kind of split between looking up at the back of this person running up the hill and looking down the hill to see what they were looking over their shoulder at, and kind of trying to crane my neck to kind of look down between the trees and see what's down there. I want to run down there and check it out, but I know that running off is something with a limited number of lives that I've got per day. Before I get an exasperated eye roll from one of my companions.
I think Mavis kind of clocks that Max wants to run off and just like holds up a little paw, turns back to the kingfishers and just asks, you don't happen to know what's down that way? Is that something that happens often? And kind of like stares back at the figure as it's disappearing.
Oh, well, that looked like Bert. That didn't look too out of the ordinary. It was a badger running up the hill with a sack. I mean, maybe he's just in a hurry to get home. He does that from time to time. Down the hill, you'll go past, there's a very beautiful little graveyard. It's a small place. But I don't see what he would be grabbing from there.
Is it haunted? So Max's teeth are chattering now because he's stopped swimming through the snow and now he's not generating all that heat, and he's starting to get really cold from the kind of the wet fur and wet jeans. Is it haunted?
Well then, like, kind of, they're much bigger than you are as like a little polecat. Like, they're just gonna like grab a bit of their jacket and tear a bit off and put it over your shoulders. No,
At the same time, I'll put my lantern closer to you as well, so you're getting like a little bit of warmth from the moth lantern.
I don't believe there's any ghosts around here. But you never know.
But if you're nice to them, maybe they'll be nice to you. Yeah.
Exactly. See, we're learning.
Is that what these cairns are? They're sort of leading towards this graveyard.
Tends to be a pilgrimage. Mm-hmm.
Ah, interesting. Pilgrimage.
A lot of pilgrims come through to visit the graves.
Well, you get travellers come through quite regularly, much like yourselves. People tend to light a candle, say a prayer, speak to the old gods. It's a comforting place, you know.
Is everyone who's dead there?
Well, not everyone who's died has gone there. It's a good place to speak to the people who may have died in the past, but not everyone who's died.
So if we don't know if someone's dead, can we can we try and talk to them there? But then if they don't answer, does that mean they're not dead or they're not there? Or they're busy?
Things work in mysterious ways, though. You can always try. And at that moment, the other kingfisher goes, "Ho!" and pulls the rod back out as a fish comes with it. Well, that plum certainly helped. Thank you. And you see, he's holding up quite a large fish. A bigger one than usual. Can I share? And we'll proceed to start to fill it out. Take a few moments and then hand over to Lionel a sizable fillet of fish for you, friend.
Thank you, that's very kind. I share it among Phoebe and Max, presumably, because they eat meat or they eat fish, I presume. I'm not sure if Mavis will eat fish.
I think
being a rabbit.
Mavis would
Lionel doesn't
give up
really.
her portion to Lionel, regardless.
Lionel shares it. He's happy to. he's thankful for them for helping guide the way.
Well, thank you for your help. Sorry, go ahead, Khalil.
No, this can go after.
Well, if you're traveling through the snow, please do take care. Try not to travel if the snow gets too heavy. Allow yourself shelter and safety, and hopefully you find where it is you need to go.
Sometimes
story.
it's not about
Thank
the destination, it's about the journey.
Quite the storyteller. I like it. I'll keep that in mind.
And before we kind of head off properly down the hill, Max is going to kind of run over to a tree that's just, a few meters off the path, and is going to scrabble a little bare patch, or a little kind of indent into the snow, and just carefully he's going to look around, looking for any misty possums around. Hello? This is for you. And is going to put a half-eaten dried plum at the base of this tree, and leave it as an offering to a small god, being the misty possum.
Okay, take a token, please, for leaving that offering. You leave this in the ground. Everyone else is watching as Max runs to do this. Is anyone doing anything in that moment?
I think I'm just observing. I'm kind of hoping that there's something that can be construed as an act of wonder that he can see. I really want this for him.
I would say that this is a moment of beauty to watch as you watch this small polecat child leaving an offering out. I would be happy for you all to take tokens for that if you all watch Max. Max, you bury the offering, and as you stand back up again to look around, you just feel the wind pushing at your back.
I pull the bit of cloth closer around my shoulders, and I kind of just glance over my shoulder.
There's nothing in sight right now.
I pause and I turn and head back to the group, kind of scampering with a bit of a spring in my step. And but I can mutter to myself, "Oh, there'll be something for you later. It's okay."
The kingfishers start to pack up their things, and well, We've had a haul we were not expecting. It's time for us to go and make camp. Max?
Oh, nice to meet you.
Stay safe, stay warm.
Safe travels.
And to you.
Thanks for all the
Good
fish.
And with that, you can head on forward. What do we all see as we're moving forward?
I think
You
Phoebe.
said it's.
Oh, you go.
No, you go.
I think Phoebe I think Phoebe slows down a little bit actually and takes some time to really look at the cairns that are kind of dotting the various points along the road. I think she's looking to see if there's any kind of writing on them or any kind of names. She probably won't admit it to herself, but she is looking and potentially hoping not to see a particular name. But they all look old, and she's pretty confident that she won't see that name.
Would you like to speak your true feelings on a subject right now?
I think Phoebe would only ever describe herself as knowing 2 homes in her life. And one was from when she was a child, and she doesn't speak much about at all. But she's almost certain that she can never go back there. And the other was a person, and she probably often names him. His name was Flynn, and she spent many years in his company. She probably would have found a home with him until she realized one day that she was holding him back, and so she left before she could do it anymore. And I think she hopes one day she could find that home again, and worries that one day she'll find that that home is as inaccessible as the one from her childhood.
Please take a token. You're looking at these cairns. Does anyone else do anything right now?
I'm going to sidle up to Lionel. I'm going to say, do you want to see something cool?
Always. I'm eager as I hear that, I'm always willing to learn.
I rummage around in my jeans and somehow almost a kind of pulling from a space that you wouldn't imagine that there was capacity for. Where was he keeping that? I pull out a cylindrical kind of waxed wooden kind of case about the size of a kitchen roll center, just to kind of pop off the lid. And I pull out a scroll, a piece of kind of thick kind of vellum scroll with script in it, and I say, check it out.
I ask him to say, can you I ask him
It's a scroll.
What is it?
My parents gave it to me. I mean, I don't know what it says.
I ask if can I take a look? Can I have a read?
I mean, can you keep a secret?
Yes. He says honestly, yes.
I think Max trusts Lionel enough, and is impulsive enough. and will hand over the scroll. I hadn't planned what would be on this scroll that was pressed into my hand by my parents. So I'm happy for us to work out as a group what is on this scroll. As I pass it over to Lionel, I say, my parents just before we got separated, when the river burst its banks and the ceiling came in, and I don't know where they ended up. Hopefully not in the graveyard, but at least on the other side of a lake now. Anyway, they were fighters, and they were heroes. They talked about a rebellion and telling stories and having old friends come round. My uncle had one eye. I mean, he had two eyes, but one of them had a line through it. So anyway, before the accident, it was my birthday, and they gave me this scroll, and they said, one day you'll know, one day you'll understand this. And I mean, today's not that day yet, but you can read, right?
Yeah, I can read. I look over the scroll. It's not in the language that we speak. It looks like it's from a forest. It's from a place which, as they were, it's not from where they're from. It's not where they're going to. Lionel knows little bits of this language from his wanderings. He's got enough he picks up enough to get by, but not enough. It's clearly got a detailed text, and he gets sort of the gist of little bits of it. So he says, "Would you like to know now?"
Yeah. Do you know what
he
it
reads
says?
it.
Tell me. And he's even more animated.
Not
and kind of
fully.
hopping from foot to foot.
So he reads it, and
We can workshop it as a group.
from what he understands of it, he gets the impression it's an old story. It tells a story of a hero. It's just one person's penned this. He does work. I don't think he can workshop exactly that, but
Okay.
So we've got a story in a language that's not known to Lionel, but kind of semi-known, and it's about a hero.
I feel like Mavis would
it's possibly somewhere. It's possibly a place where you think your parents may have been fighting something. He's got a vague recollection of there being a battle or something long ago that he can distantly remember, but not. Yeah, Mavis might be the best person or best rabbit to tell more.
If you look over at Mavis, I think she's just noticed that the moths are really wanting to keep going and keep the travel going. So I think she's maybe not been so aware of what everyone else has been doing in that last few minutes, but she's just been trying to herd them all to the path still and follow them. But if you want to run and catch up with her, you definitely can.
If does Lionel say to Max that Mavis might be a good lead?
He says she might be a good lead, but also he's mindful that it's getting dark. We do need to make camp. Maybe we can talk over it once we've made camp, when we've progressed a bit further along the road to where we're going.
Okay. Yes. Okay, can't wait for camp. And
Yeah.
I will, roll up the scroll again, stick it into the case, stick the case back down my trousers, and then like scamper off after Mavis and be like, Mavis.
Max.
So I've got something cool to show you when we get to camp. I promised
Okay.
Lionel that we would wait till we get to camp because it's getting dark.
That
and it
sounds
involves
very
reading,
sensible.
and you can't read in the dark.
That's very sensible, but that's why I've got my lantern. So, all right, as soon as we set up camp, I'll take a look. Once I've got my moth settled.
Thank you. James, you take a token for saying yes when I asked if you wanted to see something cool.
Hey.
And as you all kind of move forward, and Phoebe has been looking at these cairns, I would say that, Phoebe, you've not noticed everyone else move on ahead, and then realise it's quiet and look up to where they're going. Look once again at the cairn, and then just feel hanging from a tree in front of you is just a smiling possum.
Ooh, I think this is a scary thing to see, but I think Phoebe has seen a few scary things in her life, so she gently sort of gestures for Indra, her firefly, to kind of come closer and sort of light up the area a little bit.
The
And she
possum's
sort of
eyes glint.
Yeah. She leans against the tree and she says, "You're not going to lead me astray, are you?"
And as the firefly moves forward and kind of illuminates it, you just see that like hanging from this possum are lots of other little baby possums.
Oh.
No leading astray, my friend. You take care of that little one. There's
Of course.
Good head on his shoulders. And you see she kind of reaches round and passes like a plum to a small possum.
I think she sighs and she kind of looks after where Max is sort of like excitedly pestering Mavis, and then she looks back at the possum and she says, "Well, I'm doing my best, but he's determined to look after himself 9 times out of 10.
And as you turn back to say that, you just see mist.
Till next time, friend."
And I think that's where we'll take a break. We're going to take like a little short break, folks. We'll be back shortly. Thank you so much for joining us. Back very soon. Goodbye. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back for part 2 of our Wanderhome game. We left our players before the break travelling down the road in the direction of a graveyard. Max very keen to hear what was on a scroll that was left to them by their parents, and Phoebe having recently interacted with the possum made of mist. But travelling down this snowy path, the sun is beginning to set and the cold comes in, and it is bitingly cold. I imagine Max's teeth are really chattering, even despite the shawl made from a kingfisher's torn jacket.
Yeah, teeth chattering. Shawl has now been thrown over a shoulder like a kind of poncho type thing, and I think Max is, having heard about the graveyard, is probably sticking closer to the adults, so is moving at their pace, but is, I think, partly kind of jogging on the spot to try and stay warm as we go.
How are the others moving? Are you moving slowly? Are you trying to keep warm?
Slowly
I
but
think
surely.
I'm going very slow, trying to make sure the group is all together.
Okay.
I think that Phoebe, if anything, has kind of picked up a little bit of energy here. On the road, there's always a chance of meeting lots of strangers and people that she doesn't know and having to be a little bit aware of them. But here feels like a place where she'll find a lot of silence and peace. So she is kind of more eager to kind of just look around and explore.
And silence you do find as the sun goes down, and the snow at this point, I would say, gets a little shallower. So you're not quite having to dive through or dig through paths. It becomes a little easier to traverse. As you see this small kind of picket style fence into an overgrown and quite dilapidated graveyard. And it's getting to that strange wintry twilight where it's not quite day, it's not quite night, but because of the snow, it's still quite bright here. That strange way that snow creates the visible that you wouldn't expect as you get towards nighttime.
It's a very kind of blue tinged soft light.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very pretty. But you see the graveyard.
You can really hear the chattering of the teeth in this silence.
That's the only noise that you hear.
The soft crunch of snow under paw and the occasional...
You can hear the sort of flutter of the moth's wings as well, because I think the moths are speeding up. I think that they know this graveyard is the next place to go, and I think that they want to go there. So as much as I can, while still making sure everyone's keeping up, Mavis is going to be really zeroing in on following the moths.
I think Indra, the firefly, is actually a little bit more awake at this point. We've kind of reached this quite dark place and seems to very much appreciate this strange blue tinge that has kind of cast itself upon the graveyard. And the light that Indra emanates, sort of hue for hue, begins to change until it matches this blue tinge, and it kind of casts it and accentuates it. And it's just these kind of it's like this glow, but the sort of the bulb where this light emanates from on Indra is it's almost like these strange sort of little crackles that kind of shoot through it from time to time.
Max is definitely curiously and somewhat playfully following Indra and the moths, probably alternating between them, or if they're traveling together. And then occasionally kind of a slight wary look around the graveyard, but then kind of either getting distracted by the insects or kind of shrugging it off.
Max, can I get you please to tell us a story about this place that no one else could tell?
Yeah. Max starts telling. Max starts thinking about people who are no longer with us. And he doesn't know whether his family are alive or not, so that's not where his mind goes. He goes there initially, but then he's like, well, they're probably not here, it's fine. But then he starts remembering stories that his parents told when they would be sitting around the hearth late at night, when they would have old friends over, and he starts telling one of the stories of the rebellion, this rebellion that might have happened in a quite far off land if others aren't super familiar with it, but so there was this bear, and this bear lived in a cave, because bears live in caves, I think. Never met one. And every winter the bear would be asleep and would just curl up in the cave, and just that's where he'd be. And then in the spring the bear would wake up and come out and give a big stretch and do a big poo, and then would start looking around for things to eat. And this bear, I know some bears are meant to eat berries and nuts and fruit and fish and things like that, but this bear was a bad bear, and this bear liked to eat people. And so from spring until autumn it was never safe, because you always had to be looking out for the bear. There isn't a bear around here, is there? Oh, it's winter. They'll be asleep. But eventually people had a bit too much of this mean old bear coming around and eating people. And so lots of people of the forest got together and they rebelled. And they were all much smaller than the bear, but together they managed to scare the bear off and make the bear go and find a new cave. Now, some of my parents' friends didn't get to see the forest without the bear, and that made Mom and Dad sad. But they were always a little bit happy when they were telling those stories as well. Like, sometimes they would share a drink with the person who wasn't there. It was happy and sad, I guess. But the bear's gone, which is good, I guess.
As the story ends, you just hear a voice from a tree. I think you'll find, young one, there's lots of others who were perhaps part of that story, resting here.
I look for the source of the voice.
Hanging upside down, you just see a bat.
They're here? Who? How do you know?
Oh, some of these people were my friends. Some of them left one day and promised they'd be back. And in a way they came back. But Now they stay here. Take a look. And there are gravestones all around with names carved in.
Muggles. What? Todbury? I know those names. Wait, I can't read. Why do I know what this says?
Well, sometimes when you see something that just makes sense, you know exactly what it was meant to say all along.
And I think what that meaning came from was something that I carry secretly. I carry not hidden out of kind of subterfuge, but it's a fragment of the god of my homeland that kind of that's embedded in me. And I think maybe that connection to that history of the homeland provided these flashes of insight. You didn't go, did you? You didn't know my mum and dad? You don't know my mum and dad? I don't know.
I don't know who your mum and dad are, though, one.
Well, my mum looks a lot like me, but bigger. And she's really clever, and she's really strong and fast, and she knows a lot of stuff. And she doesn't have the little bandit mask. That's just me. But my dad, he looks a bit like me as well, but a bit bigger, but a bit bigger than my mum. And he's more that color. And I point at Mavis.
Mavis, you are, I imagine at this point, looking at the gravestones, and you saw the name Todbury.
Yes.
And that name rings a bell. Who is
Yes.
Todbury?
Todbury is a name that Mavis has only ever read, and suddenly the moth's behaviour makes sense to her. And so she suddenly sort of starts rifling through her satchel, and she's looking through letters until she pulls out a package with the name Todbury written across it. And this is a package that she's carried for a long time, because the address has never made sense to her, and now it does. And she's going to look between the bat and Max, and suddenly realise that this package that she's carrying, which all she's known about is that it's for the heroic leaders of the rebellion. And what she knows is that it contains a whole village's worth of care and thanks. And she thinks that now is the time to deliver it. And she's going to take Max's paw in her paw, and sort of lean in close and say, "Would you like to help me deliver a parcel, Max? It's a very important job."
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
You see,
what's it for?
it's for some of the people that are resting here. And I'm gonna hand out, I think this package is kind of like a big box that's been sort of tied in brown paper, and it's bundled with, letters from everybody that these heroes have helped and touched. So, some of the papers kind of spill out, and I give those to Max in a little bundle. And I get down on your level and I say, and I think that maybe if we lay them by the names, they'll finally be delivered, and they'll get to read them somehow.
Yeah, these people can probably read. I mean,
I think so.
yeah, let's do that.
And I'll hold your paw and lay out the papers.
And as we're doing that, I can't help but think of my parents, and knowing that these people might have known my parents, and knowing and not knowing whether there are any parcels for my parents, and not knowing whether if there are parcels for my parents, whether they will be delivered to their paws or to their cairn. Here's yours. I lean into the cairn. If you want to read it now and tell me what it says, that's okay. No? Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
Sometimes people want to keep things private too, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Phoebe, you just hear the bat call to you. Strong head on that one's shoulders.
Phoebe has been kind of observing this whole thing, and I think she was probably just about to go to Mavis and check in, but seeing that this bat had engaged her in conversation, she doesn't want to be rude, and she goes, "They've all got strong heads on them, really."
And what about you?
Oh, well, I suppose that entirely depends on the day.
And what about today? It's been a nice one, isn't it? A cold one, but a nice one.
It was nice to find the road again. So there's that. And she kind of like, I feel like she kind of gets momentarily kind of lost in the surroundings for a moment. I'm having somewhat of a disconnected day, I think.
What are you trying to find?
I suppose I'm worried about what I might find, and worried about what I probably won't find. Do you smoke?
I'll be right down. Swings himself down from their feet and lands next to you.
She's gonna get the pack of smokes out and kind of like get a little lighter, and she'll light the bats first.
I haven't had one of these in a long time.
Oh, they're the pretentious kind.
I can tell. I like it.
Finn liked pretentious things.
Who's Finn?
She smiles. Difficult to sum up, but Finn is who I suppose I am hoping not to find and wishing to find at the same time. I certainly would find Finn here.
Very much alive. Okay. That's good.
Finn is home. That's what Finn is.
And how long since you've been home?
Too many years.
What's keeping you? There's nothing more important than a home.
Well, I lost this one. I was careless with it.
I just look hard and it'll show itself again.
I think she kind of laughs and she says, "I don't know if you've noticed, friend, but the Heath is a big place."
It is. but a welcoming one. I always find people are happy to share some advice or a smoke, and since you've done one, I'll do the other. Just know that home will be waiting for you, and everyone deserves that.
Do they?
Of course. No matter what has happened, you always deserve somewhere to call home. Whether that's a person, whether that's somewhere to rest a head, whether it's somewhere just to rest your head for one night and then find another. Home's what you make it.
I think she kind of looks around at her companions as they hand out letters, and I imagine Lionel's probably kind of found somewhere to sit for a bit. She sighs softly and says, well, I suppose for now, this is home.
And what a nice place you've made.
Oh, yes. Could do with a little redecorating. And she kind of like looks around at the various graves.
Well, there doesn't seem to be anyone else moving in soon, which is good news. Thank you for the smoke.
Of course.
Now, is the elderly one
Lionel.
Lionel? Okay, lovely, thank you. Do they tell stories? What's their deal?
Lionel is an academic. I'm sure he has much to teach.
Well, let's learn. Lionel, you have this scroll, and you made a promise.
I did. I said I would tell Nat what it said. At this point, you can tell he's very uneasy. He's very uneasy about being in the graveyard. It reminds him of people he's lost, friends he's lost along the way. But so, despite his uneasy, he did make this promise. So he goes up to gingerly up to Max, and sort of asks everyone. Gathers everyone together, says, "Okay, can we start a fire?" And then we sit down. We can tell you all about it. Get in the warm.
Oh yeah, warm will be good.
And as we settle, I'll hold my lantern out over the scroll so that you can see it. Like, I don't think maybe your little hedgehog eyes are straining a little bit, so I just bring the light to you.
What
And
colour
so-
is the glow?
Yeah,
from the
he
lantern?
It's a really like warm, like fiery orange. It's very like in contrast to the blues and twilights that we're in. It's kind of like this little pocket of warmth.
Okay.
Yeah, Lionel can see at night, but he's getting older, so the light is very handy for him.
What do we reckon this scroll says? It is handed down to Max from his parents, who said, "You'll know when the time's right."
Well, I think we discussed it had a story on it, didn't it? About a hero.
But I think it's maybe a story about an unlikely hero. I think it might even potentially be the story of Max's family, or at least sort of an allegory for the story of Max's family. And maybe it tells of, how even in big, scary rebellions full of, bigger animals and beasts, little polecats and the stories they tell can be really important.
Yeah, maybe it's like it tells the story with the protagonist being someone a little bit older than Max at the time, as in like at the time older than Max is now. And it the kind of the overall narrative of the story is full of little moments where being kind helped the fight against the big bear. So yes, there was the fight going on, but it was this unexpected hero's moments of kindness that helped the older fighters to persevere.
And perhaps knowing that the overall message of the story is that no matter how big or how small you are, no matter how much value you might see you have in your own eyes, but for everyone else, you always have something to offer.
And a kind of secondary message that there is nothing stronger than people fighting for their home.
How does Max feel upon hearing this from Lionel?
Sorry, I have to work out how Khalil feels about this.
You can take a moment. We can come back.
Yeah, let's circle back.
So Lionel, you share this story, and this is quite a big message to tell such a young child. But you're a teacher. You know how to put across difficult messages. How do you feel?
I feel, so Lionel, as I said before, he knows it's in his foreign language. He doesn't fully understand everything. He knows it's not the full story. Secretly he has sort of embellished this a little bit. He doesn't tell Max or tell anyone else, but he's told a little white lie in terms of what it says. But he feels it's the right thing to do because he feels that he's trying to give this positive message to do good. And the reality of when you, he'll find out now. Lionel will tell him the full story later on when he's a bit older, but so he's feeling he's done the right thing at this point, but not necessarily. His reasons are pure for it, but
I would like you to say then that you've spent a token to keep someone safe from the difficulties of the world.
Yeah.
And I think Max feels this resonates with the conversation about the possum of the mist, and how being kind is important. And so, this is all feeling pretty coherent to Max. But then the message that there's, nothing stronger than people fighting for their homes. His parents' experience and his own recent experience have definitely taught him that you can't stop the world from having bad things in it or you can't stop bad experiences from happening 100%. But getting that kind of reinforcing message that home and kind of togetherness and kind of perseverance are incredibly powerful, and also knowing his parents' kind of history, bits of it, and then knowing that he got separated from his parents when their home was, destroyed in a natural happening. All of those things are kind of coming together to actually give him a little bit more confidence in his parents, that like they're tough, they're strong, they're clever, they're not in this graveyard, they're not in any graveyard, they're out there somewhere. Maybe I'll find them again. I hope I find them again. I want to tell them all the adventures I've been on.
It's very Fievel. Mavis, how are you feeling right now? You delivered this package and then heard these stories.
I think Mavis is very, quiet, and like there's almost like a reverence as she listens to Lionel tell this story, because she saw how excited Max was earlier when he came and like told her that this was something that was going to happen. And I do think that through her work, delivering packages from all over, it might be that there are a few phrases that she sort of could pick up and decipher just looking over Lionel's spiky shoulder. And I think that through her knowledge of people and of Lionel, I think she might have gotten a sense that there were things that he might have altered or embellished for Max's sake. So I think that Mavis is really just feeling a lot of love and appreciation for Lionel and what he's done for this child, and the fact that they're so opposite ends of a spectrum and they're opposite ends of life, but they've come together in what, are not perfect or safe or lovely circumstances, but they've given each other something real and something special. And I think she's just kind of really enjoying like observing that happen.
And Phoebe, you get a nudge in the ribs from the back when fight for your home, right?
I think Phoebe has been kind of watching this happen. She sees sort of Max really struggling to kind of like find connection and put all of these pieces in his head together and make sense of some quite big feelings in this place. And I think she can see that both Mavis and Lionel, who I think she normally relies on to be the one to keep Max entertained and to help him understand the world around him, because she knows that they can do it a lot better than she can. But she can see that Lionel is tired and uneasy in this place and is struggling and floundering a little bit to come up with this story. And she can see that Mavis is tired after delivering such an emotional package, and is also finding things a bit difficult. And I think in a rare moment of being a bit less insular, I think she waits for a natural pause as this back kind of nudges her, and she sighs and closes her eyes, and then with a bright smile, she starts to open up the violin case, and she says, "I've heard this story before, and she looks at Max as she says it. Well, I didn't hear it as a story. It's a quite famous song, in fact. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, of course.
All right. And she kind of opens up this case, and
I'm sitting like cross-legged, like a little bit too close.
there is, of course, no song of this story. She's about to improvise completely a sort of a retelling of the tale that Lionel has kind of given, but in musical form. But she, in this moment, in a sense, she's trying to fight for sort of bringing back some emotional stability to this temporary home and this temporary group of people that she's set up with. And I would like to, if I could, spend a token to ease someone's pain, if only for a moment, and try to play a song to bring back some energy and relift some spirits and remind everyone that while we are in a place filled with people that are no longer with us, we are still here and we still have each other.
And you ease the pain of everyone. It's a beautiful moment. Max, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, so are we going to sleep in the graveyard tonight?
Well, it means we'll have plenty of company, doesn't it?
I guess.
Many
You
people
didn't
Tell me
rest
what's in
here.
those letters.
You do not need to fear the dead.
Yeah, there's other stuff.
There are far scarier things in the world.
And yeah, we've been nice to them.
Exactly.
We certainly have. I hope they're not too grumpy about me waking them from their slumber with my violin playing.
I think they enjoyed it. Might have been a long time since the last time they heard music.
Oh, I hope so.
I
And she's
think
kind of, you can see she's getting a little shy, like when people kind of point out that she's like good at playing the violin or something. It's like she gets a little bit like nervous and stage frighty. She doesn't really like attention too much, so.
And I think you realise that this is the first time that Max has sat through an entire song.
Oh.
Absolutely rapt attention.
just taking notes that the key is to change up the song.
Oh, he can't take notes. He can't read or write.
Yeah, no, he's taking notes mentally.
Oh, yes.
Like, oh, the key is to not make it too repetitive. I have to keep it interesting and keep changing. Okay. Note that down for later.
With that, the bat who's been here will do the very British thing. He's been sat down. And we'll just like hit his thighs and go, right.
What a mood.
And we'll say it has been a delight to meet you all, but I must be going.
Before you go, what's your name?
I'm Edward.
I'm Max.
Lovely to meet you, Max.
It was
Take
good to
care.
meet.
You too. And if you see any of your other friends, say hi. From my mum and dad.
We'll look at you, Phoebe, one last time and go, you got this. And swoops off. And unless anybody else wants to do anything this evening, I say we'll rest and move to morning. And the morning light comes. It's bright. The sun is shining. There is not a cloud in the sky this morning.
and the way ahead is clear, heading towards the market. As you wake, you see walking towards the market a badger holding an empty bag.
It's that person who was mean to the possum.
Oh,
But
well,
now
we
the bag
don't-
looks empty.
Do you say anything to him?
How far away is he? And
So it would be like you're sleeping within the little fence inside the graveyard. He's probably just passing past the entrance just now. It's not far.
did you meet the possum?
Oh, looks around and looks for the sign of noise.
I am like sticking my head through the bars of the fence and looking up at this big badger. The possum, made of mist.
Oh, that's just a story, little one. No such thing.
Oh, you sure? I gave it a plum.
Yeah. Children's tales.
I look at my tail.
You're funny. Anyway, we'll turn in. No possum for me. Have a nice day.
What was in the bag?
He will look back at you and give a look and then turn and keep walking.
Don't think he liked that question.
Sometimes adults don't look at questions.
But now I want to know more.
It does rather spark the curiosity, doesn't it? I think she's just watching him go. Just with that slightly suspicious gaze.
And there's no gaze more suspicious than a fox with glinting eyes.
Yes.
Well, maybe we should take his lead then. It seems we're all heading in the same direction.
Yeah, we can follow him.
He'll show us the way and maybe we can find out more.
Maybe.
And I think my moths are getting a little bit restless.
Your
I
moths
think they're all just kind of circling the graveyard. Like they want to leave. They've been like flapping for like the last early hours of the morning. The sun came up and they just wanted to go.
Max is very excited for an espionage mission. Espionage mission. And wants to follow this badger as well.
He already has the sneaky mask on.
Right?
Okay, you pack up your things and head towards the market. It doesn't take long to get there. It's quite a quick journey. What does it look like?
So I guess a market isn't going to be just there on its own. There will be a community around it. I think James mentioned near the beginning when we were making the world that it might be some kind of village scale thing. So not a big town. I think it's
The market is the kind of center point.
Yeah. It's morning, so there's probably the sounds of people waking up. There's probably smoke drifting from chimneys of people, baking their morning bread and stuff like that. There's probably some pretty delicious smells.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that would be the thing that the delicious smell of cooked food.
You hear a loud but more high-pitched rumble coming from a small stomach.
And as you get into the marketplace, Max, you feel a tap on your shoulder, and if you look round, you'll just see a bread roll from a large feathery hand as a large chicken with a basket hands you a bread roll.
Thank you. Who are you?
My name's Red.
I'm Max.
Nice to meet you. You're new in town. I've not seen you around before.
Yeah, but me and my friends, family, we just arrived. We've been traveling.
What are you looking for? And running up alongside our two small little chicken boys.
Hello, I'm Max. Who are you? I say to the boys. So my role?
Oh no, my dad's given us a little play. That's your role. My dad will get a loot. My dad makes lots of rolls. My dad's a baker.
Oh, I've never met a baker.
Well, he's the best one in town. He's the only one in town.
Best one I've ever met. I'm Max.
Am I allowed to talk to him? He's a stranger. His dad will look down at him going, yeah, he seems nice. He's no time with him. Pushes him forward. I'm Andrew.
Can we be friends? What's there to do round here?
Well,
Wanna hang out?
me and Tim, we usually go and skim rocks at the pond, but the pond's frozen. We can still do it.
I guess they skim.
Not, yeah, they'll skim really far.
Yeah. Okay. So, first one to get 12 bounces, gets an apple. Do you have apples?
We can get you an apple.
Yeah. All right. And I turn to first to Phoebe, and then then second to Mavis, and then to Lionel. Can I go play?
Lionel
I
as
look at
other.
Yeah, I think we're deferring to Lionel here as the older, wiser one. Yeah, I think Mavis for a second is going to go and be like, oh, of course. And then she sort of realizes, no, maybe we should be more responsible, and sort of like hands over to Lionel.
Yeah, I think that's why I asked in that. I looked in that order.
Yeah.
I looked at Phoebe and I was like, she is not going to say yes.
Yeah,
And I looked
Phoebe,
at Mavis and I'm like, well, in the past, Mavis has said yes, and then Lionel has been
she
like,
nearly did.
well, maybe actually. And so turned to Lionel to get like the kind of definitive.
Lionel says, go play, but be safe. Right, don't do anything stupid, but go play.
Not too far.
And be careful when you're throwing rocks, please.
Yeah, don't fall into the lake.
Yep.
Don't throw them
Is the pond.
Something, throw rocks. And I think, kind of scamper off with these two young chickens. Like, we don't go like out of eyesight. We're just kind of over by the shore of a small lake that's fed by that stream we were walking past earlier. And you hear that weird echoey sound when you throw stuff onto frozen water, that kind of you hear that, and like kind of cackles of amazed laughter. And I am absolutely taking a moment to appreciate the wonder and novelty of seeing and hearing this kind of making this lake into a little musical instrument, and hearing it resonate.
You all watch as Max runs off to play. And Phoebe, you get a tap on your shoulder. No, you're
popular today.
You're new in town. It's always good to see new people, and welcome.
Is it the chicken that's talking to me?
No, this is someone different.
Oh.
This is a red fox.
Do I recognize this fox?
Would you like to recognize the fox?
Ooh. I think for a moment she would look at him and I think she would want it to be him, but I think it's not him. But there's something in his stance and the way he is and everything that is just so much like him, but it's not him.
I will say then that if you see this individual and think that it's him but it's not him, there was a distant familiar smell. Is it real? You're not sure.
Yes, we are. I'm so sorry. We are here just passing through, really. Your name is?
Oh, you give me yours, I'll give you mine.
Phoebe.
Oh, I'm Philip.
Philip. Racking the brains. Philip. Well, nice to meet you, Philip.
You're all a sight for sore eyes.
Are we now? And what makes you say that?
Oh, you just look familiar but out of place, and I like that in a group.
I could say the same about you, Philip. You remind me of someone I knew.
Hopefully someone nice.
Someone wonderful.
Can I buy you breakfast?
I think that, for Lionel and Mavis, you have never seen Phoebe like this around anyone. She is, she's normally so guarded and so, trying to be the smart one in the conversation, but she's incredibly, flustered right now, and her eyes kind of, keep darting around as if she's expecting to see or be surprised by something else.
Her ears also turning in different directions.
Her ears are kind of I actually think normally her ears are very out. I think they've kind of drooped a little, if anything. They've kind of gone back a little bit. And her nose is twitching constantly. She's trying to place that smell because she can smell it, and it smells like Flynn. So she's very off guard, and she's like, breakfast would be lovely. Yes, breakfast, of course.
If Phoebe ever catches Mavis's face as she's kind of looking around nervously, Mavis is just nodding very encouragingly, yeah, go, yes, say yes. Mavis is really happy to see this sort of reaction that she's never seen before in you.
And he will kind of just stick out an arm and
oh, all right. Not making me cry, making me blush. I see how it is. Okay, so I think there is still some level of guardedness around her because she remembers how Flynn was, and he was a little flirtatious at times and a little cheeky. So she's like, "Oh, go on then," and then she kind of takes his arm. And looks at Mavis, and when she sees Mavis is go, she pulls this face and ugh. Don't look at me like that,
don't perceive me.
Don't perceive me in this moment. This is not, you've got completely the wrong end of the stick. I'm fine. I'm so fine right now.
Mavis just keeps going with it.
so good right now.
So earnestly.
Lionel's got a little wry smile on his face.
Oh.
Just like, yeah, I know. he's pleased that he's so pleased that both you and both Phoebe and Max, it seems like you can just see the joy in their faces. You kind of just
You've
like his heart
definitely
melt.
you've definitely all heard stories of Flynn. I think that Phoebe thinks that she's a lot more subtle about talking about Flynn than she actually is. So you probably know a lot about Flynn without Phoebe even realizing it. So,
And as you wander away, Mavis, what were you looking for in town?
I was looking for the owner of a parcel that I've been trying to deliver for a really long time, and hoping that it might find its home here. But I think I really can't tell from what the moths are doing. I don't know if maybe they're disoriented by like what is, compared to where we've been, so much smell and sound and sight. I think that they're now kind of circling the market and the food stalls and kind of looking after that. So yeah, Mavis is still sort of trying to hope that they'll settle, because she really wants to see this package through and maybe pick up some more, because she made a big special delivery last night, and she thinks maybe it's time to take something new that might take her in a new direction.
So what is the package?
The package I want to deliver is the hand-knitted sweater, and the person it's addressed to is an exiled wizard, and she's wandered so far looking for where anybody might be exiled to, and she's never found it. But there's something about the way this jumper has been knitted so haphazardly but with so much care that she really wants it to find its home.
Okay.
There's a story in the stitches.
I will say, and other people can feed in, of course, is that you take a long look at this jumper, which is not wrapped, it's just like bundled and then tied with strings, so it's still just like the wool on its own. And the moths kind of all land on it, and it's as though they're sniffing, as though they're trying to like look for the distant smell. And then all of a sudden they all whoosh up and move forward.
I'm gonna run after them.
Lionel, do you follow, or are you doing something different in this moment?
He follows because he also wants to see, like he's seeing this excitement and he wants to be like, he wants to experience it.
Okay.
He wants to see that joy.
You follow towards the edge of the market, where you see running what looks like kind of rag and bone style cart is an elderly crow.
I'm going to sort of motion to Lionel, because I can see that he's followed, and I want him to feel included in this, especially now that other two have gone. And I'm just going to sort of like hold out the jumper and say, I've been waiting a really long time to deliver this one.
The crow is like looking at something through like an eyeglass, like very deliberately.
I'll motion to Lionel and I'll approach very kind of politely. Good morning.
Oh, hello. What can I do?
If you don't mind my asking, what is that you've got there?
Oh, not sis business.
What you're... Oh. Okay.
Have you got something shiny?
Well, it's not really shiny, but I think the moths think it's for you, and I'll just produce this jumper, which I think is like brown, like earthy colors. It's like the opposite of shiny. It's the opposite of like technical things. It's like frayed wool and softness. And I just hold it out to him.
Oh, yeah. And then we'll hold the eyeglass towards it. This is different. This is not at all what I expected. Where did you get this?
It was given to me a long time ago and a long way away.
Huh.
But it's my job to deliver it. And I'll sort of tap the little badge of my uniform that I wear on my dress.
Huh. Yeah. Huh. We'll unwrap it and pull it out. And as it like unfurls, you just watch as like a large medallion falls out of the middle of the jumper. And he will look down at it, look at you, and snatch it before you can do anything about it. And then look at it with the eyeglass. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Were you in the war?
No. I mean, I was around, but I was just I was helping my mentor deliver things, and then he taught me how to do it, and now I do it. But I didn't get involved in anything. I carried messages, I suppose, but nothing, or at least I didn't think I was carrying any dangerous messages.
No, not dangerous. This is important, very special. Thank you.
Oh.
The jumper. And then he will whistle. And coming out from all directions are small children, 33 of them, who all run up, all different types of little creature. Squirrels, you see like a small chipmunk, you see a frog, you see all sorts of small little creatures, right? Who would like the jumper? Share it. And we'll just give them over the jumper. Make something good with it. And he will hold this medallion tightly to his chest and just say, "You've made my day."
Oh. Good.
What's your name?
Mavis, sir.
No, sir.
And yours?
I'm Paul.
Paul. Well, I'm glad it's found its way to you, Paul. I'm sorry it took so long.
Means a lot. Stamps his feet. And like turns to like, "You've made my day, but I need you to look away for a second."
Oh, okay. And I turn and I gesture, and all the moths turn their backs as well.
And then you just hear him like rattling around in the cart. It's like, okay, you can look again.
Okay. And again, me and the moths all sort of turn at the same time.
Can I interest you in anything shiny?
Oh.
I have buttons.
For me?
Yeah, take what you like, not the thing. But you can have something else.
I wouldn't have, but... All right. And I think Mavis is a bit baffled, because usually when she delivers a parcel, she's given something to deliver in exchange. She's given a response to a letter, or she's given things for other people. And I think she's just a little bit overcome by this rare moment of being given something for herself. And so she like looks over all the shiny things and all the trinkets, and she goes for a button that is quite plain, but polished to be, reflective and shiny. But it's like a beautiful like wood brown, because it reminds her of the jumper, and she wants to remember where she got it and what that delivery meant.
You take the button and he will say, "Now that one there, that's a special one. That belonged to a brave hero.
Well, I shall take very good care of it.
One of the bravest.
Did you know their name? Or were you able to tell me? It's okay if you're not.
No, everyone should know. Rory.
Rory.
A good friend. No longer with us.
Is Rory a name I recognise?
I would say yes, most likely. You have heard tales of the small creatures that stand up for their home.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting this name with a story that was told to Max last night, you remember the story of an unlikely hero who had always dreamed of adventure and was always told that adventuring was not for him. He should stay home, do his job, run the family business. Don't question things, because people who question things are the people who get into trouble. But actually, apathy is more dangerous than anything. And a small little bird called Rory took up arms at the right time, saved his friends.
Thank you. And she'll put the button safely in her pocket. And thank you for keeping things and memories like this alive.
There's no more important thing than memory and shiny things.
Of course. And I'll sort of turn to Lionel with this like big, still kind of overwhelmed, like baffled smile on my face, and just like shrug at him at like the wonder of memory and connection and how these things still last.
And his heart melts at that. He has a little tear comes to his eye. I'm so glad that you're happy. And he's happy, and he's thinking how everyone else here is so happy, and the joy you've all brought. And he thinks, yeah, I think maybe now's the time to sort of settle. I think here's a good place to stay for a while. Here, yeah, like he's content. He's happy. He thinks he's happy. He also knows that it's difficult for him. He doesn't think he can really travel that much further. Like another long journey like the one he's been on, he don't think he can manage another one. And here's a good place to stop. Here's a good place to stay and be. Yeah, he's got some company. He's got lovely people he's met around him. He knows that he knows that all of you will have you've got your journeys to tell and your stories to tell. But yeah, he's proud, but also sad.
And he's just met 33 new potential
So
students.
Yes.
That's a whole class.
Yeah,
That's a
he's
class.
looking forward to that. Yeah. He hasn't even gotten to his well, some of them would be happy, some of them might like his entomology lessons or his astronomy lessons.
I get the idea that
Radical rebellious politics, he loves that. But
I get the idea that Lionel's way of teaching astronomy is very much going out on a clear night and looking at the stars and the constellations and seeing how they move, and doing that over the course of time, so you days and weeks, so you can see how it shifts slightly. taking a lot of care and attention to get that kind of long-term learning and that relationship building.
Yeah, and it's all things that he picks up while wandering. And I think Mavis mentioned that he's quite academic. He's not really. His things he's picked up, he's gone along. It's just he's listened and he's been on his journey for so long that you just pick up little bits here and there. And someone like Max, who it's all new for, loves it.
Sometimes that wisdom,
But he also knows
sometimes that wisdom that you pick up just through experience and living life is just as valuable as the knowledge you pick up from books and learning. And that's what we're seeing from 3 of our 4. 1 still got some ways to go with the learning and the life experience because they're still very young. And I think with each of these moments that all of you have had in this little slice of life, we'll bring our little Wanderhome story to a close. But could I ask one very brief thing from all of you? What's the last thing we see? Starting with Max.
I think the last thing you see at the end of the story is Max walking back from the lake with his 2 new friends, and he is animatedly kind of recounting either one of the stories that he's heard or like some little kind of neurodivergent special interest fact that he's gleaned from something that Lionel taught him. It's like, oh, did you know that woodlice aren't even insects? They got too many legs. And like animatedly walking back from the lake as they walk back towards the group and towards Red's house, the baker's house. And I think maybe Red is kind of, leaning up against the door frame in the kind of like, swaggly dadly mode, and is kind of affectionately looking out for his kids and their new friend, but also looking out at the new arrivals in town. And Red is probably thinking like, here comes a new chapter of stories and a new bunch of friendships to build. And Max feels that those words don't go across his head because he's just in motor mouth mode, but he feels it in his chest, in his heart, in his soul.
Phoebe, how was your date?
So I think that Phoebe, who is normally so guarded and so closed off, she had a lovely time, and I think that Phil put her at ease and reminded her of Flynn in a lot of ways, and was lovely company. And her mind kept returning to the bat and what he had to say about how even though the Heath is a big place, you meet people along the way. People are usually very ready to help others. And I think that for the first time, she has to acknowledge to herself that she's been making a lot of excuses. She talks a lot about Flynn and she seems to be searching for him, but actually what she's really been doing is hiding from him because she's frightened of what she might find when she finds him. She's scared that he will be angry with her or that he won't want to see her, and that idea of home that she always likes to keep in her back pocket really will be gone. And And I think she, with the sense of this familiar smell and the potential for fate to be looking upon her and all of these things that she's learned just in this last 24 hours, the last thing you see is her taking a deep breath and asking if Philip knows of Flynn or has heard of him or might be able to point to where she could find him.
And we're not going to get the answer to that question.
No, that's fine.
Mavis.
I think the last thing that we see of Mavis, as she kind of walks away from the crow and all of his wonders, is like this deep sense of reflection on the last few experiences of this particular travel. And I think that she feels compelled to sit maybe on a little stone stoop outside one of the buildings, and take some papers from her satchel and just write her own letters to a few of the people that she misses, that she's not crossed paths with in a while. Because I think that everything that she's experienced and witnessed in everybody else has kind of reminded her that she has a lot to say herself, and that she has messages that she wants to reach home while they can. So I think that we just leave Mavis sitting very peacefully, writing to herself. And I think the moths are kind of sat around her on the stoop. Maybe there's one hovering over her shoulder. And she knows that they'll help her deliver this too.
And finally, Lionel.
The last thing you see of Lionel is he's sort of standing on the edge of the town, or the village, just looking sort of wistfully at it, and then he pulls something out of his pockets. He just rummages a bit, finds it. It's a scrumpled up drawing, very old now, maybe sort of, it looks rather weather beaten, and it's a drawing of his home, where he's from, and he looks at it longingly, and he knows where he is now is similar to it, but not quite like it. It's like, I'm happy. It is home. This is where I'll be. I'm happy here. And tries to remember what once was and what is now. And he feels content. Not fully content, but content.
And folks, with that is our Wanderhome game here on Science and Sorcery. Thank you so much for the folks who've been watching, the folks who've donated. We're 2/3 towards that modest goal. It's going to stay open, so we'll be sharing it again on social media. If you can help us boost that would be really helpful. If you're here, share that link with other people and help them to donate as well. Thank you so much to all of my players for coming to play this really nice game with me this evening. We're going to go back around all of you. You're very welcome. In reverse order, just to say who you are and where people can find out more about you. So we'll start this time with James.
I'm James. I'm originally sort of science background, and then kind of moved into the homelessness sector a few years ago now. And I volunteer at the Museum of Homelessness. And that's kind of what I do, and that's me. I just want to say thank you to Sam as well for being our guide today, and thank you all for being such a lovely experience. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. Taya, you next.
I'm Taya, and I am, as I said, an actor and an AP performer. You can find me over at Damsels in Distress, which is our name on most social media, or Damsels D&D. We're an actual play group based in the UK. We mostly do a long-form, very queer, very emotional Regency era campaign. If that's something you would be interested in, check that out. Otherwise, you can find me at Taya Campbellova on most socials, or you can find my theatre company, Wasn't There a Man, on socials under that name as well. And I also just want to say a huge thank you for having me, because this has been so beautiful, and thank you to all the other players for telling such a lovely story, because it has really warmed my heart.
Thank you for being here so much. Kat, you next.
Hello,
Being
everyone.
bothered by a cat.
Yeah, I just literally just got distracted by my cat. Hello, everyone. I'm Kat. You can find me on social media under Law Mistress 93, or on Twitch and YouTube under the Law Mistress, because why would I match those things up? I am a AP performer and a facilitator. I tend to GM, but occasionally I get to play things like today, and this has been really lovely. I've really enjoyed playing with all of you, and had a wonderful time with Sam as our guide, so thank you so much for inviting me on. I also write for tabletop role-playing games, and I'm working my way into creating tabletop role-playing games. So I'm a busy bee, but I hope to see you over on socials, and please do feel free to drop me a message. I'd love to talk about all sorts of things. So yeah, but this has been really wonderful. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Hey everyone, I'm Khalil Thurlaway. You can find me a lot of the time on Science and Sorcery. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Dr. Talks a Lot. That's Dr. Talks a Lot. And also, if you like the sound of my voice, I also host 2 podcast 10-episode series for the Natural History Museum called Wild Crimes and Our Broken Planet, where we explore through different lenses some of the more problematic elements of humanity's relationship with nature, and who's working to fixing it, and things like that. And I'm really appreciative, like everyone, of how we've all managed to put this story together, and how we've managed to explore some melancholy and some potentially kind of challenging emotional topics, and also have such a heartwarming, satisfying narrative story. Thanks everyone, and thank you so much everyone for watching.
And I have been the guide this evening. My name's Sam. I am a regular producer, performer, occasional GM here on Science and Sorcery. You can find me across the internet at Sam Size, mostly on Blue Sky. And yeah, just once again, thank you so much for folks who've donated, for watching, for people who've been playing, at a time when we're seeing that the number of people living in temporary accommodation in the UK is at the highest point since records began in 1998. An annual increase this year of over 16%. So you can see that we definitely require the incredible work that people like the Museum of Homelessness are doing to highlight how this is impacting people in the UK and further abroad. So thank you so much to the folks who have donated towards the museum. We will be back with some more content next week. We will have A Moment of Awesome interview next Thursday, and we should also be releasing our recording of our live show from Dragonmeet, where we played You Awaken in a Strange Place. And Taya was also part of that game as well.
It was really fun. I can confirm.
It was.
Everyone should watch that when that's out. Listen, because it was
very
ridiculous.
Very different vibe. But for now, folks, we are gonna head off. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all again very soon. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night.